We do have a little walkover. The number of markers. Can look down into the Buddhist cemetery a little bit, but it's still blocked off by trees. Little grotto. I was kind of hoping that there would be stairs here, but I'm not going to take the risk to try stealing a ladder, but that would leave evidence, and we know how that goes. Let's see, anything over here? Just a nice little place for high school students to come in and do a little drinking and smoking. There is a school at the top of the hill, and some students actually do have to go up and down these stairs every day to attend classes. And I thought that walking 2 miles and up a gentle hill was too much when I was in high school. So I guess I shouldn't complain. I will, but I shouldn't. Okay, so back to fast walking. Okay, when I mentioned Francis Xavier, I did add that there was a Christian cemetery back here dedicated to those that were persecuted following the shogun's dictate that Christianity wasn't allowed in the country. So when the Meiji government recommended the suppression of Christianity, actually, this is my mistake. Okay. When all of the other religious centers were shut down, the Meiji government recommends the repression of Christianity, and worshippers fled Origami, Nagasaki, to 20 different clans. In 1870, 375 people came to Kagoshima and stayed here in Fukushoji, this area. Although 53 of them passed away before being allowed to return to Nagasaki in 1873, it is said that the Christians were treated well here. In 1905, Father Emile Rago brought the remains to this cemetery and had a magnificent memorial gravestone erected. It was in Fukushoji that 3 centuries earlier, Francisco Xavier and the 15th priest, Ninshitsu, had held friendly discussions concerning missionary work. So, very limited memorials. So reference to Fukushoji, and the memorial here says Christian gravesite. Somebody does come in and tend to this area sometimes, but probably somebody older, so they don't get in here very often. And continuing up. Okay, well, my plan wasn't 100% perfect. Came up behind the hill into a little cul-de-sac, and there's nowhere here for a clear view out. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to point down to the Inari River in the old part of town. Like I say, the original area of Kagoshima, back when it was still called Satsuma, or the Satsuma Prefecture, was mainly over here in the Inari River area. One of the things that worked to the Inari's benefit was that it's a mountain stream and the water was really clean. So it was treasured for its use in making sake, as well as being a regular drinking water. So the city built up around the river until it silted. The port moved down past where Dolphin Port used to be, the old shopping complex, and Riverfront Park, down to Tempozan. Now, when I mentioned the Reimeikan Gate and the Satsuma British conflict, there were actually 3 cannon batteries. One at Tempozan. There's very little remains of it. If you know what to look for, you can find the old floor area. The other's where the aquarium is now. And the third is very close to Ishibashi Koen. So even with those cannon batteries set up, shooting against the British ships in the bay, England was completely outpowered. Excuse me. Satsuma was completely outpowered, and England won pretty easily. So unless I can get a clearer view of the area around the Inari River to show what historically the city looked like, I'm going to have to end about here. I will make one last mention that you probably can't see it, but right about there is the moon. This camera zoom is kind of hard to use with the touch screen. It's very, the control is very tiny. And the moon is very tiny on the screen too. So if you can't see it, I apologize. But it's a nice day. You know what? I'm going to change my mind. I ended up walking about a block and then realizing that it's worth doing a fast walk video after all. So I came back up just for you. Old reservoir, hold runoff from higher up the hill, prevent some flood damage, and store water for drinking later on, I guess. Not really an old construction. Most of this is poured concrete. Might have been built on an older site though. Okay, so things get kind of crazy with cars going along an area that's not quite wide enough for two people to walk through at the same time, shoulder to shoulder. So I'm going to start my fast walk. Well, not exactly the perfect elevated view that I wanted, but this is about as close as I'm going to get, I guess. The main high point here isn't accessible by road. I guess I can try going up this hill, see what happens. This is about as good as I'm going to be able to get. Any farther up, I'm going to disappear off into the trees to the left. The park that I said was an old castle site is at the top of the hill, down at the far end of the city here. You can see Kinklewan. There's a ferry port a little bit farther down. That's the one that runs over to Sakurajima. Then main shipping starts with the docks next to the ferry port, running down to Tempozan, which I actually did include in the Kiyotaki River Walk. That's about there. That's also where the Tempozan cannon batteries were. So during the Satsuma England conflict, this bay was filled with British warships. And up to a couple hundred years ago, a lot of this was underwater because it is reclaimed land. So the main route that I followed is going to go down along this road here. That takes me back. Actually, if I take that road, it'll go to the aquarium. The aquarium is right about here. And the big green netting about here is a golf driving practice range. They like their golf here. And I think on that note, I'm going to stop because I'm running out of battery.